going live. So, hey everybody, welcome to Rethink Dieting Live. And got with us, Angie and I've got with us today. I'm Alan Thomas, as you can see, and obviously she's Angie. So, and we've got one of our Rethink Dieting superstars with us. His name's Dave Butler. And Dave, tell us at this point, how much weight have you released? We prefer to release weight instead of losing it because you tend to look for things you lose. So, right, how far, if you don't mind saying?
75 pounds.
Wow, that's a small person. You know, I mean, that's a young teenager or whatever. Like one of our friends told me early on. He said that's you've lost one of the Backstreet Boys. And is that so? So the way we do this around here is we really do it to give Dave a chance to kind of tell his story a little bit, but. And really, what was it like before Rethink Dieting? What it's been like during, and then what the future looks like. So, Dave, I mean, tell everybody a little bit about kind of your journey prior to coming to Rethink Dieting.
Well, I've struggled with it basically my whole life. I probably really started. In high school is when it really sort of started to kind of take on a little bit of steam, and it wasn't terrible. But I was, probably 30 pounds or so heavier than I would have liked to have been. When I graduated from high school, I joined the service to try to, get a handle on it and kind of give myself, a few things. And that worked okay for a little bit, but it wasn't, it wasn't a long-term solution that I sort of thought it would be. I didn't really have much choice in stuff. It wasn't like a real change inside. It was just sort of like, okay, well that's all you're allowed to eat. So, and so then once I got out, it was, it just year after year just kept going up and up and up.
Wow. Yeah.
Till I hit about 420 pounds, which was, that was tough. And, the pandemic certainly accelerated a lot of that. I put a lot on over that 2 or 3 years there of the pandemic. And I tried all kinds of different diets in the middle of it, and nothing was sort of sticking. I did keto and high protein, no carbs. I mean, it just, nothing really was nothing ever stuck. I'd have a couple weeks of good success, and then I'd have either a tough day or something would go a little bit off the rails, and the whole thing would blow apart.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, and hey, we Angie and I've been there, so we know, and that I mentioned that a lot of people watching this or watching the recording, understand it too, and so you tried. I mean, how many things would you say you tried over your adult life? How many different weight loss strategies? I won't call them.
I don't know. I mean, at one point I had a whole shelf and a half of a bookcase that was just diet books and various cookbooks and exercise books. And I mean, so, just in books, I probably had 25. I tried every single one of them. And that's not even counting the instances of signing up for this program or that program. And I tried Weight Watchers. I tried, I paid thousands of dollars when I was like 27, that I should not have, I had no right to literally go to a mental hospital in Boston that had a behavioral
Sure.
I innumerable, Alan. I can't count how many different things.
No, I get it. And so you come into, we have a conversation and you come into this workshop that we do and we tell you up front, we're never telling you what to eat. We're never telling you what exercises to do. I mean, and that's kind of a core belief we have. But here you are, basically since your high point in your weight, you're roughly 3 months from your highest point in your weight, 3.5, whatever it works out to be, you're down 75 pounds. I mean, what is going on, man? I mean, was it the magic dust that we gave you, or was it the?
A lot of it I think has to do. I think it's two parts, right? I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of the conversations that we had initially,
Sure.
and that was huge, and a lot of it, I would not a very high, maybe almost the same amount came from the conversations that we have on our calls with the rest of the group.
You talk about our group calls.
I mean,
and
I don't necessarily say this to those folks enough, but the things that they talk about and the things that they're going through, and knowing that they're there sort of in the trenches with me, it means so much to me. It really gives me a lot of hope, and it gives me a lot of desire to stay with it, because I'm so inspired by the work that they've done, and it's so awesome to see. I mean, I'm like a little bit further ahead than some people now.
Sure.
Who are coming in kind of behind me, and I love that I can hopefully do some of that for them.
Sure.
Now,
Well, it begins with belief. I mean, it does. We talk about that a lot. I mean, it does begin with it, and it's while we got called recently. I love the term. A friend of ours called. He says, "You guys are diet agnostics," and I'd never heard that term before. and we really are. It's not that do you have to change what you? Of course, Dave changed what he ate. I mean, are you kidding me? We're not. Do you have to do exercise? Well, Dave's done some exercise, but honestly, for a lot of our clients, they're not able to exercise a whole lot in the beginning. And some not even at all because of different medical issues and things. But there's always a way. And when you get that belief going, which you've done, I mean, you've been a star performer. How you've shown up, and in star performer in our world it really is the doing the necessary work, the rethinking, the mindset pieces, because we want to, Dave, all of us want the simple plan that we're going to stick to till we're 100 years old. It's going to make us look like Daniel Craig getting out of the ocean and the James Bond movies and everything. And it just doesn't exist. I mean, but it's available. But winning has been available to you forever. And what's neat to see when you figure it out, and then the scale just does this. And that's what it's like crazy. I'm like, you're eating, right? And so, yeah, and you're eating plenty. I mean, so we don't want you to do anything. But so walk through a little bit more. I mean, kind of what's that shift been for you? I mean, what's been different for you this time than it was in all those other countless attempts you'd had in the past?
I mean, I guess the thing that I can tie it to partially is 420 was when I hit 420, it kind of did a bunch of different things, and it wasn't obviously like I hit 420 and this happened, because I also had sort of stopped weighing myself. Part of it was because honestly, I didn't have a scale that actually went that high. Yeah. I mean, I mean, my scale didn't go over 400, you know? So it was like, what was the point? And there was also a lot of what was the point, you know, tied to the way that I, you know, what I was eating and what I, you know, whether I was paying attention to it or aware of it or whatever. You know, because I'd get kind of down. I'd get down on myself. I'd feel, you know, I hate to say it, I feel like a failure, and I'd just be like, well, I don't care at all. But of course I cared. I cared immensely. And I think what the biggest thing was that it really affected I'd always been a big guy. I played hockey. I played football. I played hockey for years and years and years afterwards. I was a big guy out there running at one point, you know, close to 300 pounds. And, you know, I wasn't necessarily running the entire way. It would be like I'd run for a minute and walk for 3 minutes or whatever, but I'd do like a half marathon or something, you know. Sure. I'd finish it anyway. It was all about finishing for me. It was never about trying to win.
I understand.
And my knees really started to hurt.
Sure.
To the point where it was like and we were about to go on a trip with the kids to Washington DC. And Washington, D.C. is a big time walking city. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to participate. And I have little kids. I mean, my kids are, you know, 9 and 12.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be able to really step in and be the kind of dad that I wanted to be. I was gonna have to be an observer maybe, or I was going to have to be the dad because my weight had become something that was preventing me from being fully engaged with my kids. And I could already foresee where this was heading. I could see it was going to be, we were going to go on this trip, and my wife was going to have to take the kids everywhere because I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't keep walking. My knees hurt. Or, you know, I knew I wasn't going to be the kind of I knew I wasn't going to be the kind of dad I wanted to be. And that started me to really think about, because I'd heard some of your stuff before.
Sure.
You know, to really think about some of the stuff that you had said about what that means and what that decision is, because I guess because even though I was trying these things and stuff, I had never hit that point, right? That point, like, you know, and, you know, to kind of draw like a parallel, you know, that Dave Ramsey talked about, right? That I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sure. I mean, that's what I hit when I realized who I would be and what kind of person I was going to be and what kind of person I was going to be present in my own children's lives. If I didn't get this fixed.
So Dave, tell us please what your wife is saying now, and your children too. I know they're younger, but they're obviously noticing. So how is it
kids are smart now?
Kids
are smart. My daughter just the other day, you know, my daughter, she's kind of you know, she's kind of subtle. She doesn't get overly, you know, excited, or, you know, but she just said to me, she said, how much weight's it been now? And I told her, I forget exactly what it was at that point. And she said, good job. You know, and I mean, to the moon, man.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's a winner. That's it. No, that's that, and that's it. I mean, we put so much emphasis, and I mean, we could talk about this all the time, but we put so much emphasis on, you know, what am I going to eat? What's the nutrition going to be like? What, you know, how many of this exercise I'm going to have to do? And for those of you that are listening, that's not the conversations we have in Rethink Dieting. I mean, that's not it. I mean, of course, as I said earlier, do you have to change what you eat? Yeah. To drop 75 pounds in 3.5 months, heck yeah. You got to change a lot of stuff, but you don't have to starve yourself. You don't have to do crazy. We tell our clients all the time, and Dave, no different. If your doctor says don't do it, don't do it. You don't have to do crazy. But what we miss, and I know, and I don't mean to rant on this, Dave, but the point of the consequences of not deciding, the consequences of going to DC and knowing that you might be in that hotel room, and now, and what's interesting too, I mean, we never tell our clients what they should weigh, because we believe that your ideal weight is the weight that you're created to be at your present age. And that's a weight of freedom. And we believe people know that weight. But Dave, talk a little bit about where you're headed with your weight, and kind of that little nuance that happened early in your journey.
So I initially picked a weight that I was like, okay, well, I was 420, and I said 210.
Yep.
Right, which would be half. I mean, that would be a huge amount of weight.
Sure.
And but we hadn't really started. This was all in the initial stuff, and we're talking about things, and and then we're a few weeks in, and a few more weeks in, and the weight keeps coming off. And there was definitely a change in that moment, where I mean, I had made the decision. I was there. I was in it. And I believed, because I made that decision that, like, and I do believe that if we, whatever we want, if we just keep banging our head against the wall long enough, it'll happen. I think what happened, the difference that happened was, I really started to wake up to the fact that there was so much more to me than I even realized. As the belief became more solid, right? Like, I believed, I believe I'm going to do this for sure. But it became this like steel piece of my backbone.
Yeah.
And you know what? 210 isn't the right number for me that way. It's 185 actually.
Yeah.
That's
And when you told us the 210, no pushback. But I will tell you that I was thinking he's going to change it. He's going to change it. But you have to be met where you are in your belief level, and to believe that. I mean, what's the most weight you've ever lost in your life prior to Rethink Dieting? I've never asked you this question.
I did one time when I first started doing that running, even though I was like, I think I started off, I was 385. I went all the way down to 285 for like a minute. So I lost 100 pounds one time.
And that's awesome. I mean, a lot of people, but the trick with this whole journey is building the habits, building the belief, building the mindset to where you're the 185-pound guy that gained weight now. You're not the 420-pound guy that lost weight. And just that small distinction makes such a huge difference. So tell us, okay, here you are, you're 3.5 months in, you're crushing it. What would you say to somebody that says there's just no flipping way? There's no way. There's no way you're going to go to 185. What would you say to somebody?
I'd say it, man. Watch me.
Here you go.
It's happening. This is it. That is right. I mean, that's when I look at myself now, like, I'm more surprised almost that I'm still overweight.
Isn't that funny? That is, and that's such a key distinction. Because you have to go there in your mind before you can get there in your body. You have to go, and that's what you're doing. And so what's the next? And I mean, I know you've got target date and all the things, but kind of what's the future look like now? What's going to be different for you? What's going to be different for the next, hopefully 100 years or 50 years, however long God leaves you here on earth?
Well, I feel like I could do anything. I mean, and there were subtle things that I recognize now that I was shying away from doing or not stepping up to stand in and do. And some of them were mundane, normal things.
Mm-hmm.
Before this moment, the last, month or two, I would make the kids take the dog for a walk,
Mm-hmm.
right? I wouldn't do that. My knees hurt. I don't feel great, all that kind of stuff. I take the dog every, as much as I can, I mean, it's almost like an argument between my wife and I now, because my wife loves to walk the dog and take the dog, and I'm like, well, I also want to take the dog, you know what I mean? Because I can now. I don't have any restrictions anymore.
Yeah.
I like physically I'm there in a way. And I also feel like, and I don't think I've ever even said this to you guys, but like, there's just something I've noticed as far as like, there's like a shift in how well my brain works. Like I think about things and I anticipate things that I didn't used to. Some of them are again, maybe just like sort of mundane tasks, but like, if I have to clean the kitchen, half the time I would forget to start the dishwasher. I haven't forgotten to start the dishwasher, in 2 months, and my wife noticed.
Well, and that's in my belief. I mean, with this, and is that it's such a direct relationship to the lifting of the emotional consequences that your weight that you've been carrying. Okay, because the emotional weight starts to come off much quicker than the physical weight will. And the emotional weight is being released. You as you said earlier, you're already, you look at it, you don't realize that you still got a ways to go, because in your mind you're already there. So it's taken away all of that baggage you were carrying around. I mean, and because it was just like for me before I went on my weight journey, it was always that emotional baggage slowed me down in every way. And so that's that's not uncommon, and I love that. That is so here you are, it's May 16th, 2024. And so when's do you mind sharing the target date for your celebration of being 185?
So my original target date.
Sure. Well, you moved to.
I actually haven't actually sent it originally, but I actually worked out the math the other day.
Good.
My original target date was going to be Christmas of 2025.
Right.
But you know what? That's not it. That was even with the new lower amount and stuff.
Sure.
But that's just very conservative, and doesn't look anything like what's been going on for these last little bit. So yeah, it's actually gonna be February 22nd, 2025.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, June 22nd.
And yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, and this is what people miss so much time. You can quantify the stuff. You can, well, I mean, and if you get to February 25th and you weigh 189, you didn't fail. So I mean, or you might, or if you get there a little early, whatever it is, it's quantifiable. I mean, but the certainty that it gives you, what you're talking about, the kind of things that you've been doing and the work that you've been doing, is just, it changes everything. And so what do you think the chances of you going back to 400 plus?
I'm not going back. I mean, the biggest piece is even if for some reason I did start, it's different now, because I feel like I have people with me who are going to help me get right back into that mindset. And fix it, and that means the world. That's everything. You know, too much. I did this. I tried to do all this stuff on my own, right? And not talk about it. You know, there was so much shame in letting myself get to this point that it was like I was just gonna fix it quietly, you know. And if people noticed, great, and all that. But it was all gonna just be me. And it, you know, it's not all just me. A lot of it is me. Don't get me wrong.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
I gotta get inside here and think about what I was doing and all that kind of stuff. But so much of it, and so much of it is easier with all these people around us who are helping and there for us. It just changes it, especially you guys.
Well, it's we get to be participants in your journey, and it's a blast. And the only thing, and it's like when you see somebody who actually will do the work, who will show up, because it's hard, and the shame factor. You know, I mean, it is, and whether anybody says it out loud, it's such a big thing, and we believe that we can do this, that nobody notices. Number one, that was me, you know, and me and Angie, nobody knew. I mean, and all that, and then we'll quietly, and because we're so afraid, and this is the core thing with it, Dave, and it's. We're all afraid of failing again. It's we failed at it so many times it hurts bad. I mean, it hurts, and we feel like, but the only way you fail at it is when you stop. And people, you know, people ask us all the time, how in the world do you help people get that kind of weight off? And you're not telling them what to eat. I said, we just teach people how not to quit. And when you learn how not to quit, I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, I use it, learning how not to quit, and it's the hardest lesson of all. I mean, it is, because I mean, it is really a hard lesson, but it's but you've done fantastic. Super proud of you, and thanks for spending the time and this afternoon and sharing this with the audience. But and I'm going to let you guys know, for those of you that wonder what Dave, where he started right here. He saw a training. We have about a 45 minute training. It's totally free. He saw this training, and on that training, it walks you through the 5-step strategy that Angie and I used to lose 192 pounds in 260 days together, not individually, but together. And the exact same process we walk our clients through. And then what he talked about in our conversation, if you want to have one of those conversations with Angie or me, go to transformmyfuture.com/apply. And on that call, what we do, we get really open about what are the consequences of the obesity or the extra weight you're carrying, how committed you are to solve the problem, and if we think we can even help, and if we can help, we'll discuss that. But first thing to do is go check out that recording of the training at rethinkdieting.com, because we've had people literally, it's been about a year ago, we had a lady email us from the emergency room from ICU, where she said Mother's Day, she said it saved her life. So I take no credit for that. That was her just reading something into it, but it kept her. So there's good stuff in there. We don't try to tell you crazy things. Dave, are you eating?
I am.
Yeah, you're not starving. It's not about starvation. Anybody tells you to do something crazy, run. But thank you so much for being here. This has been a blast to do,
and we'll do it again.
Well, yeah, we did. Oh,
6 months or so.
Yeah, we're gonna probably ask you for the 100-pound milestone.
Yeah.
We love those. We love when you hit the century mark. It's rare air, as we call it. 75 pounds is rare, but century mark's real rare. And can't wait to follow the rest of the journey with you, Dave. So have a great day. God bless.